Sawadee Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Pirapat Jantaratana, Director of Loss Prevention. Safety and security for guests is our top priority. Please pay attention for the following information. It is very useful in case of emergency. In case of emergency, the bell alarm will be rang and public address will be announced to evacuate. Now, we are in Kristen Hall B. It is on the third floor of the Attorney Tower building. For this room, in case of emergency, there are 4 exits and the signage is above the door. You will see 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you go out from this room, at the corridor, there are 3 fire escape doors. And you will see the sign at the door as well. The fire escape door will lead you to the ground floor outside the hotel building. And then you have to go to our assembly point. Our assembly point is in front of Attorney Tower building. That means it is in front of this building. You will see the associate will assisting you over there. And I would like to inform you that during this period, we don't have any fire alarm testing. So if you hear the bell alarm, please evacuate from the room immediately. And it is very important in case of emergency. You should know for the evacuation plan by go to www.2024apricot.net and select health and safety for more information. Thank you. Have an inspiring day.
No? Okay. Sawadee and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tawan Parugamanont, or Point by my nickname, and I will be your host this afternoon. Now, to begin, may I ask us to move in together so we have more seats available, please? I would like to now welcome you to the opening ceremony and plenary of Apricot 2024. I hope you had a lovely lunch and are feeling relaxed this afternoon. To begin with, we will start with a cultural show arranged by the Fine Arts Department, Ministry of Culture, showcasing Lam Glong Yao, also known as the long drum dance. Originating from Thailand's rice-growing regions, Lam Grong Yao is not just a dance, it's a celebration of life, community, and a shared joy of human connection. Its energetic beats, embodied by the booming Grong Yao drums, resonate with the spirit of collaboration and progress that defines Apricot. So, without further ado, please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. What a wonderful performance, marking a great start to Apricot. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give our performers now a round of applause. I would now like to invite Ole Jacobson, Secretary of APNOC Board, to deliver APNOC's welcoming remarks.
Thank you. I'm just going to stand over here rather than climb up there. I think you can see me. Welcome to Apricot 2024. It's been more than 20 years, in fact 22 years since we had an Apricot in Bangkok at the Vint Cerf Convention Center. Maybe a few of you remember that. This event is set to break all records, I think. There might be as many as 900 people on site when all is said and done. There's more than 650 checked in already today. It's hosted by THNIC and with support from the Thailand Conference and Exhibition Bureau. This is actually day 7 of Apricot. We've had training sessions, partner sessions, 150 people took part in the workshops. And of course, yesterday was all the partner meetings, AP Star, .Asia, AGM, and so on and so forth. Many people have worked many months to put this together. The program committee, putting together all the sessions. Of course, APNIC has its own members meeting on Friday in the room next door. An event like this is not possible without the support of sponsors. We have 45 of them this year, 20 of whom have booths outside, so please go visit them. And let's see, what am I forgetting here? Well, first of all, there is now a technical conference standard that says there should be a coffee cart, and so we're no exception. We have a coffee cart hosted by the champion barista of Thailand. Her name is Jane, so go check that out. We have a V6 only network, which you should try out and give us feedback on. There is an opening reception tonight at the Grand Hall, which is one level down from here, sort of above the lobby as you walk in. And what am I forgetting? Anything, Philip? I think that's about it for now. There'll be many more announcements, I'm sure, as we go along. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ole, for your warm welcoming remarks. Next, I would now also like to invite Kenny Wang, Chair of APNIC Executive Council and Chairman of TWNIC Board, onto the stage to deliver his welcoming remarks on behalf of APNIC.
Okay, welcome everyone to Apricot 2024. I am Kenny Wang, Chair of APNIC Executive Council member. It's great to see many people stay here. And firstly, I'd like to acknowledge some of our distinguished colleagues. Starting from our host this time, THNIC Foundation, Professor Kanchana-san, and Vice Chairman, and Percy, and also board member, and also the very wonderful event and network team. And second, I'd like to also thank Ole Jackson and also the entire APNOC board member, and they spent a lot of effort to make it happen. I think this time we're breaking the historical record, and we have more than 1,000 participants joining this conference. It's a really successful conference. It's great to be back in Thailand again, especially our last gathering was in Chiang Mai in 2019. That was long ago. So we are extremely happy to be back to Thailand again. It's so great to see many of you sitting here. And thank you for being here with us. And I believe that's a very special moment for us because to come back to Thailand. And thank you for your hard working and to keep the internet running at this moment. And if you are first time to Apricot meeting, a warm welcome to you. It's great to have you to join us. Thank you very much. And for a conference like Apricot actually provide a great opportunity for everyone and to meet new people, learning from others. We have several fantastic programs that's going to happen over the next few days. I'm looking forward to listen to our keynote speaker, and I also participate in the section like APOP, the APNIC plenary, and also the technology section as well. For APNIC Executive Council member, it's also a great chance for us to listen to our member and to wider community as well. We value this opportunity greatly. And basically, speaking of the hearing from member and the community, and actually this year marked the 13th APNIC survey. For every 2 years, we conduct an independent member survey, and we try to get a result to get a feedback from member to see how well APNIC is doing. I think these findings are crucial for APNIC, not only for APNIC, for the internet's future. We use the result to improve APNIC services and to improve our activity continuously. If you have anything like to share, you are more than welcome, and you can participate an in-person interview. Just go to the APNIC lounge outside somewhere and speak to our APNIC staff and try to arrange your time for your schedule. And also, I'd like to remind you, APNIC Executive Council election happening on Friday. So it's very critical for all the members to vote. This time we have 3 positions up for election. So every member, you should vote for your own interest. And if you want to get more information about the election, please go to APRICA website or by talking to any of the APNIC staff. Finally, you are all welcome to participate in the APNIC annual general meeting on Friday and to learn more about APNIC, what APNIC is going on. So thank you very much again. I believe you can enjoy the conference and to know that more people make new connection to learn from others. And besides, you are more than welcome to come and chat with me or any other EC member or any of the APNIC staff. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny, for your very warm welcoming remarks. And now for our third welcoming remarks, I would like to invite onto the stage Prensi Arun Wattana Mongkol, Executive Director of the Thai Network Information Center Foundation, or THNIC.
สวัสดีค่ะ Professor กาญจนาการจนสุด Vice President THNIC Foundation Mr. Paul Wilson APNIC Director General and Kenny Huang the Chairman of the APNIC EC distinguished guests colleagues fellow and friends on behalf of THNIC Foundation it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the APRICOT 2024 in Bangkok. We are truly honored to host this significant event for the second time in Thailand. 24 years since APRICOT in 2002. I hope you all enjoy the amazing performance of Lam Krong Yao, a traditional Thai dance. May its spirit of collaboration guide us throughout this event. Like the dancers, let us unite and achieve remarkable things together. So, Thailand is known for its warm hospitality and rich culture. And we are delighted to share it with you at the APRICOT. While you are here, we encourage you to venture beyond the meeting room. Yeah. So, to explore the vibrancy of Bangkok, immerse yourself in the delicious food, fascinating history, and unique sight and sound to experience the true Thai way of life. For the record, we are very excited to see the very high number of registration this time, signaling the growth importance of collaboration in the internet community. So let's the Apricot 2024 mark a new era of collaboration and progress within the Asia-Pacific internet community. Engage in discussion, share your expertise, and contribute to shape the future of internet together. สวัสดีค่ะ and welcome.
Thank you, Pensy, for your warm welcoming remarks. To conclude our welcome messages, we are honored to present a special video message from the internet pioneer Vint Cerf. This inspiring message arrives thanks to the dedication that everyone here contributes to making these technologies a reality. Widely known as one of the fathers of the internet, Vint Cerf is the co-designer of the internet's foundation, the TCP/IP protocols, and the architecture of the internet. He is currently the vice president and chief internet evangelist for Google. His continued leadership and dedication to the advancement of the internet are truly remarkable, and we are grateful for the opportunity to share his message with you here today. Please enjoy.
Hello, my name is Vint Cerf. I'm Vice President and Chief Internet Evangelist at Google, and I wish I could join you at Apricot 2024. I've been promising Kanchana Sud for years to try to get there, and again this year my calendar didn't cooperate. So this is a special apology to Kanchana. I hope you'll forgive me. However, I want to emphasize for all of you how important the Apricot meetings are. Any of you who have followed the history of that meeting will understand how deeply impactful those gatherings have been on the story of internet's evolution in your territory. I have admired greatly each of you who have pushed so hard to get internet into everyone's hands, something that as Google's chief internet evangelist, I'm a big proponent of achieving. So first of all, thank you for your gatherings in the past and this one, of course, in 2024. What's probably even more important, I think, is that we all need to recognize that this powerful tool that permits such connectivity on a global scale has amplification elements to it. We've lowered the barriers to get access to this gigantic megaphone. And the side effect of that has been that anything that anyone says or does or makes visible is potentially accessible to everyone on the planet. And that, of course, was part of the motivation for the design in the first place. But we have to recognize, especially now as we've seen some of the side effects of social media and the like, that there are some people who say and do things online that are harmful. And so now as responsible technologists, we need to ask ourselves, how do we reduce the level of abusive behavior while at the same time sustaining and even enhancing our ability to use this powerful tool for productive purposes? And of course, well, today we are joined not only by the basic networking capability of the World Wide Web and the internet, but now we've got machine learning tools and even more elaborate large language models, which themselves have their own set of quirky properties, which sometimes can be abused either deliberately or perhaps in some cases just by accident. So here we are, as technologists, we have an enormous responsibility to the general public and to all who use our technology to find ways to make it safer and more secure, to preserve privacy, to deal with criminal behavior while at the same time preserving the human rights that all of us deserve. So here we are with yet another annual opportunity to focus on those topics in addition to expanding useful access to the internet's capability. So thank you for this gathering again. Forgive me for not being present in person, but I do look forward to trying to get this nailed down on the 2025 calendar. Meanwhile, see you on the net.
I would like to thank Vint Cerf for his words to greet us here today and for becoming a part of our kickoff to Apricot 2024. Again, Vint would like to express that he wishes he could be here with us today and be part of this historical moment as Apricot plays an active role in the internet's continued evolution and further revolution. Next, we have the pleasure of welcoming our first keynote speaker, Mona Jaber. Mona is a senior lecturer in IoT with the School of Electronic Engineering and Computer Science, Queen Mary University of London. She's an expert in zero-touch networks and the intersection of machine learning and IoT in the context of sustainable development. Mona has played a key role in developing a method that informs smart city and smart transportation planning. Today, she will share with us how digital technology can help accelerate collaboration and innovation across countries and organizations. As such, the title of her presentation is The Intelligent Internet of Things for Sustainable Development Goals. Please help me welcome to the stage Mona Jaber.
Thank you very much, everyone. So I'm delighted to be here with you today, and I'd like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. As said, my name is Mona Jaber from Queen Mary University of London, and today I'd like to talk to you about my research on the intelligent Internet of Things for Sustainable Development Goals. And I'd like to focus on the capability of the communication network to be used as a sensing, distributed sensing device. Let me see if I can do that. Okay. How do I move the slides? Perfect. Thank you. So let me see. Yes. So the first part of the talk is about Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable Development Goals are a set of goals that were defined by the UN in 2015, and they are meant to prepare us for a sustainable future. So the UN met in 2015, and they defined 17 goals. And they said the target to achieve these goals is 2030. Last year, 2023, in September, the UN met again to see how well have we progressed in these Sustainable Development Goals. And the truth is not well at all. So 85% of the targets are behind. We're all aware of the alarming rise in temperatures globally that are causing extreme weather conditions around the world. Most of us people living in cities, we're breathing polluted air. 99% of us people are doing that. So there's a big question mark that we can achieve these targets by 2030. And in my research group, we thought, okay, could digital technology help us reach this goal and accelerate the development of these Sustainable Development Goals? And in particular, looking at the Internet of Things, widely known as IoT, artificial intelligence, AI, and digital twins. So what is an IoT device? An IoT device is a sensor, just a small sensor, often it is small in size, that is there to measure an information that is needed. For example, this is measuring the heart rate. Once this sensor gets connected to the internet through a wired or a wireless connection, and it is able to exchange data between other devices and with the server, it becomes an IoT device. So this is the Internet of Things device. So effectively, it's a sensor that is connected over the communication network. Why do we think that IoT is useful for Sustainable Development Goals? Well, IoT devices are often cheap, affordable to deploy. They are easy to deploy, what we call plug and play. You don't need an expert to deploy the IoT devices. And with the almost ubiquitous connectivity that we have on the planet, we can have information about what's happening in any point in the world, anytime. So this affordable, ubiquitous access to real-time information can inform SDG applications and solutions. And this is why we think it can accelerate the SDGs. Great. Now, you might want to ask, how many IoT devices do I need to inform all of these SDGs all over the world? I don't have the answer for this question, but I can tell you that in 2019, there was as many connected devices on the planet as connected people. And it is anticipated that in 2030, there's going to be 3 times more connected devices than people. So this is a massive number of devices. How do we go and connect all of those devices to be able to inform the SDGs? Do we go and design a new network for those to connect them? The Internet of Things, is it the same as the Internet of People, or is it another set of networks? It is impossible to go and build a new network for IoT devices. We need to squeeze those devices into our own network. And more than that, about more than a decade ago, we started looking at the possibility of using the network as a network of radars, distributed radars. Can we use the network to sense what's happening, not just to communicate? So it started in indoor environments, as you see there, and where you have a transmitter and you have a receiver. And the receiver measures the signal from the transmitter as it propagates in this closed room and as it reflects and deflects on different surfaces. And with that, the receiver is able to analyze and understand where a person is located and what is the person doing at this point. So this has progressed even more in the last 10 years. And given that you have almost anywhere on the planet connectivity, either with 1G, 2G, up to 6G communication networks, wireless networks, or with the satellite networks, the non-terrestrial networks, we have almost connectivity everywhere. So this is the communication network, and it can be used for sensing. And with more development on how to use the signal for sensing, we're able now to track people based on their radio signal. We're able to detect the exact activity that a person is doing indoors. By doing that, we're able to detect falls, for example. And this is a technology used in senior homes to detect whether anybody fell. We can also detect hand gesture. So various things can be done with the sensing by using the network. And this is one of the main pillars of the 6G. We call it the Integrated Sensing and Communication, or ISAC for short. And the reason we're interested in that is because we use the same hardware and the same spectrum to do 2 functions, to communicate, but also to sense. So this is having more efficiency in our network. I'd like to talk about a specific application, which is the transportation system. I'm interested in the transportation system because it contributes to the SDGs significantly. So what you see over there is the chart that says how much greenhouse emissions are produced today. Energy, just producing energy, is more than 70% of the cause of greenhouse emissions. And transportation is a third factor in those. So this is why transportation is a problem that we want to solve, and we want to reduce the emissions towards the SDGs. Now, intelligent transportation systems allows me to do that. What intelligent transportation systems means is it's a transport system which is augmented with information and with communication capability. And with that, it allows us to do optimization towards having more safe transportation network, more reliable, more efficient, better quality, and greener. So this is what I work on. And there are various types of sensors that I could use to inform on what's happening on the road network to optimize the intelligent transportation system. The most simple device, which you could see on the top left corner, probably you've all seen that. This is what we call the pneumatic sensor. It's just 2 tubes that are laid across the street. And once a car passes on these pneumatic sensors, it starts counting. So we can count the number of cars going in each direction. Very simple. The second one that you see is a microwave radar. So it's just like a radar, and it counts. It is designed to count cars and in both directions or in all directions. The third one is a magnetic sensor. It's often embedded under the road, and it counts also the traffic flow. So the first 3 sensors are mostly about counting the number of cars moving in either direction on the road. Now, the last one are the CCTV cameras. And of course, they can do much, much more than counting. We can have lots of information with the cameras. Now, these are still sensors until we connect them. Once we connect them, then they become IoT devices. And we could connect them using the wireless network. Some of them are connected using wireless networks, or using the fixed network, and quite often using the fiber network, the optical fiber network. Once they are connected, then they start informing the ITS. Now, you remember I talked earlier about integrating the sensing and the communication, what we call the ISAC in 6G. Now, ISAC is often used for intelligent transportation systems. So what you see there, the blue towers, there are 3 blue towers on the screen. These are communication towers traditionally. With 6G, they become more than just communication. So the blue tower that you see there is giving a signal to the yellow pedestrian, but it's also being used to sense the location of the blue vehicle. And each of these towers is used for 2 things, for sensing and for communicating. And then we ask ourselves, can we do the same with fixed networks? This is the part that I work on. And yes, we can, specifically by using optical fiber. The technology is called distributed acoustic sensor systems. And let me tell you how it works. So to build a DAS system, I need to lay a fiber line along the road. Perhaps you can see the blue line along the road there. That blue line is the optical fiber. When I connect a DAS interrogator, which is the blue box, that DAS interrogator will transmit a laser pulse along that fiber, and it measures the reflected signal. So it works very much like the radar, except it's using an optical signal instead of a radio signal. By doing that, by measuring the reflected signal, the DAS can locate an acoustic event anywhere along the fiber. What does an acoustic event mean? It is a movement above the ground that causes vibrations, and these vibrations affect the optical signal. So my DAS interrogator, as it is today, is able to tell me where an acoustic event is taking place. And it has been used for more than a decade in monitoring peripheries, for example, just to detect whether there's any action happening and where is that action. What I wanted to do is to see whether I could tell more than that. Can I tell what type of event is taking place, not just where it is taking place? The reason I was interested in DAS for ITS, for intelligent transportation systems, there are few reasons. In many places, not in Thailand, but in many places, fiber cables are underground. And in order to deploy those, we need to interrupt the traffic, dig, lay the fiber, and then cover the road up. So it's quite cumbersome. It's quite an expensive thing to do. And because of that, when network operators lay fiber underground, they have more capacity than what they need. And the unused fiber, we call it the dark fiber. So we have lots of fiber already existing in many places that we could use for the DAS system. So this is one advantage. Another advantage is that the optical signal is not affected whether it's day or light, whether it's foggy, like it is in London most of the time. We don't care, whereas cameras would be affected. The quality of the vision from cameras will be affected. So that's the second reason. Third reason is, this is not Morgan Freeman. This is a fake video of Morgan Freeman. And it is very easy to create deepfakes. But it is impossible to fake the DAS signal of Morgan Freeman walking along the road. I wouldn't know how to do it. Nobody knows how to do it. So DAS signal is very difficult to fake, almost impossible to fake. So that's a third reason. Fourth reason is DAS signal does not capture private data. So it doesn't know the color of my face. It doesn't know what I'm wearing. It doesn't know my gender, all of that. And the last reason is that DAS gives me a continuous, uninterrupted sensing of what's happening along the road. So I could measure the traffic between Oxford and London with 2 DAS interrogators, whereas I would need about 1,000 cameras to do that. So great. Hopefully, I've convinced you that DAS is a great idea for ITS. Still, we haven't answered the question, can we detect the type of event? So to answer that question, we worked with an industry partner called Fotec in Spain, and we used this city that you see there. The DAS interrogator is located at the bottom right corner, and the green line is the fiber line that we laid there. We purposely fit that cable in a micro trench, so it's not very deep, it's only 20 centimeters deep in the ground. And we did the measurement overnight, where there was less traffic from outside the experiment. And we had these 5 different cars that we were driving up and down in different conditions. And we collected DAS data while we were doing that. So what does DAS data look like? Something like that. So the x-axis is the time component, and the y-axis is the length of the fiber. The DAS interrogator is located at the bottom, and the top is the end of that fiber. So if you look at, for example, the left image over there, and if you look at the first blue diagonal, this is car 1 driving from the end of the fiber towards the DAS signal. It covers 400 meters in about 30 seconds, so it's about 50 kilometers per hour. And each of the other diagonals next to it are the signals from the other cars. So we have car 1, car 2, 3, 4, 5, and the first diagram over there. And the second one, we have the same car, but every time we drive up and down, we have a different number of passengers in that car. So this is what the data looks like. And then from that, we extract the DAS signal. So if you look at that image, each one of these cars creates a DAS signal. You can immediately see that these are very different, right? They're all going at the same speed, on the same road. Many of them have similar weights and similar dimensions. Still, they have a unique signature. So just by looking at the DAS signal, I can tell that each one of these cars has a unique signature, which is very encouraging. And then we took that Renault Clio, which is the car 2 there, and we drove it with different number of passengers. And if you look at these, they all have the same trend. They're not exactly the same, because in each one of these cases, we have a different number of passengers. And the question we wanted to answer is, can I tell the type of car just by looking at the DAS signal? And can I tell the number of passengers in the car if I know which one it is? And the answer is yes. So we've looked at a deep neural network to analyze these signals. We looked at a single signal, which is the top blue one there. This is if I take a single point on the fiber and I measure that signal, this is what it looks like. And the bottom one, we take measurements over 4 meters of the DAS signal, of the fiber. That's because the average length of the car is about 4 meters. And with these 2 methods, we can tell the exact type of car with 99% accuracy. Similarly, we can tell how many people are in the car on condition that I know which car it is. And I can tell this information with 93% accuracy. So I hope that I've convinced you that IoT is very useful for SDGs, because it tells us a lot of information anywhere. I hope that I've convinced you that communication network can also act as a sensing network, as distributed radars, in the case of wireless communication, but also in the case of fixed networks like the fiber networks. And I've also talked about how DAS is useful for ITS, for intelligent transportation systems. But there are many technical challenges remaining. One of the challenges is the IoT connectivity. So we do have connectivity almost everywhere. But how do I know which one to connect to? And it's already getting very crowded. The spectrum is becoming very crowded. Can I still squeeze all of these IoT devices? The second challenge is the security. So IoT devices are often small, which means that they have very little processing power, small memory, and small energy source, which means they cannot handle a complex algorithm to detect security attacks. Still, they carry very important roles, like a pacemaker or like controlling an autonomous vehicle. So how can I ensure the security of the network with these vulnerable devices? IoT generates tons of data, more than tons actually. So we have today 15 billion connected devices. They generate 70 zettabytes of data. So that's 70 with 21 zeros. Most of it is garbage. Most of it I don't need. If you look at the DAS data, for example, I just need the very small amount of data from that. This is what the car signal looks like. Everything else is garbage. So this is a big challenge. How do I process all of this data? And the last technical concern is the carbon footprint. So today, the ICT sector, which includes IoT and all communication networks, produces as much gas emissions as the aviation sector, which is not acceptable. And if you keep doing what we're doing today, it's going to increase more and more. And this is because the IoT devices consume energy, the network consumes energy, the data centers consume energy, the AI that comes with the IoT also consumes energy. It's not the end. There are many promising directions. There are initiatives on how to make the connectivity more energy efficient, how to make the AI more energy efficient, how to keep the data at the edge without the need to transfer all the data and then decide which one is garbage and which one is useful. And there are ways of securing the IoT, despite the fact that they are small devices. But there are also non-technical challenges, and these are perhaps a little bit more difficult to deal with for us technical people. SDGs can be conflicting. Advancing one may cause the other to slow down. How do we reconcile with these differing objectives? And there are the technology skeptics who says, well, why do I need all these fancy digital technologies? Why do I not just stop using fossil fuel? And the whole problem is solved. It's a valid point. Another non-technical difficulty is the fake sustainability. And what I call fake sustainability is when the indicators are better, but the solution is not better. So during COVID, we measured the best air quality, but that was not better sustainability. In the UK, there's less CO2 emissions because of heating, but it's not because we came up with a sustainable solution, not at all. It's just that we can't afford to put the heating on. So these are important problems to be addressed. And the last one I want to talk about in terms of non-technical challenges is the public resistance. So again, if we look at COVID, there was a theory that COVID was caused by 5G, and people started attacking the telecom towers. People didn't want to have the COVID vaccine. So these are technical solutions that are there, but people do not want them, they refuse them. Another thing in the UK, for example, we have initiatives for reducing the emissions in urban environments, but people have strong resistance to that. They think it limits their freedom, they think it reduces their chances to get a good job. All of these are valid points, and that's because the solutions were designed separately from the public. And this is my last slide, where the way we think we can address these challenges is with a digital twin for sustainable development goals. So this is a new lab that we started at Queen Mary. The digital twin is a way to mitigate the conflicting SDGs and the fake sustainability, because it is able to model complex layers of an urban environment and the interaction between those. The research that we do is multidisciplinary, and we have social science leading the work. And that's to ensure that you have public engagement from the onset of any project. We have domain experts defining the requirements, and then technology comes in to solve these problems. And thank you very much for listening. Taken a bit more time, sorry about that. Thanks.
Thank you very much for your very insightful, inspiring presentation, Mona. I think that as a local here in Bangkok, I think I can speak on behalf of many Bangkokians who will agree with me that we want to invite you back here to solve a transportation problem. So we may have 7-Eleven everywhere, but it takes over an hour to get anywhere.
Everywhere. Absolutely
And it makes me think of how ambulances and emergency vehicles here get so caught up in traffic, and I would really, as a local, see that solved and be better.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much.
So now let's welcome our second keynote speaker, a true internet pioneer, Randy Bush. With an incredible career spanning over 50 years, Randy has been instrumental in shaping the internet landscape we know today. He currently serves as a research fellow at Internet Initiative Japan, specializing in the intricate world of network measurement, exploring areas like routing, security, protocols, and contributing to IPv6 deployment. In recognition of his immense contributions, Randy was inducted into the Internet Society's Internet Hall of Fame in 2012. Today, he will share his insights on the RIR social contract. Please join me in welcoming Randy Bush.
I will contribute to pollution. This talk is going to be hot air. Usually I make technical presentations. This one has very little. My talk is supposed to be about the RIR social contract. In reality, it's going to be more about the operator's social contract, but it's both. And why I want to concentrate on operators, because we, the real internet operators, those of us who move packets, feel the same underlying physics, and we have to cooperate with our competition, okay? And Kun Pensri used the word cooperation 8 times, and that is essentially the underlying theme here. And first of all, what's a social contract? During the 17th and 18th century in Europe, they had what they call the Age of Reason, which means they started applying logic and reason to things. I think that happened here in Asia a couple centuries before. So the social contract is what we agree with each other on the legitimacy of our social and political relations, okay? And what is our social contract with each other and with the NICs, RIPE, the RIRs? What do we expect from them? But who are we? Okay, so I'm just going to use as an example, because I'm more familiar these years with RIPE, the European region, than I am with Asia Pacific. My apologies, but I left AP a while ago. Okay, so I'll use RIPE as an example. And RIPE is not just IP allocation. It's about operating the European, what was originally the European, but now it includes the Middle East, et cetera, and a bunch of Asia. Mainly a lot of Russia's in Asia, is about operating the internet. And the original founding documents, and they number their documents in obvious ways, the objective was to ensure the administrative and technical coordination to allow the operation of the pan-European network. You do not see anything about allocating address space here. It continues that it's the forum for the exchange of the information, and it promotes and coordinates the interconnection, and it's the agreement on management, and all the common activities of network operations, okay? And to do that, the community has a secretariat. It's the Network Coordination Center. It's kind of like APNIC is in this community, except there's less boundary between the members of the community and the employees of APNIC, because they are our brothers and sisters, right? And so the organization's slightly different in that, does this work? Yes, okay. The community, the RIPE community, is separate from the Network Coordination Center. They're both called, use the word RIPE, so you have to be careful. There's the Network Coordination Center. The network operators are members. It executes policies, but the policies are developed by the community and the community is completely open. Okay? And it makes the policies, it has working groups, task forces, similarly here, but it's actually very socially separate. Another differentiation in RIPE is that because it's based in operations, not IP allocation, is developed significant operational tools. How many people here use RIPE Atlas? Yep. How many people here use RIS and the BGP collectors? Yep. And those that raise their hands, by the way, are the operators. Okay. But what this talk isn't about is bureaucracy. Okay. And if you want bureaucracy, and this is an important piece of it, the ICP2 document that ICANN is trying to deal with the creation and destruction of internet registries, okay, is what the bureaucratic and administrative expectations are, okay? And I'm not saying this isn't important. I'm just saying I'm not going to address it, okay? The bureaucratic contract should derive from the social contract. And what happened was I was being asked to look at that bureaucratic contract, and I said, I first need to think about the social contract and what we actually agree and what common physics we are all feeling as network operators. Okay, so what the talk is about is the social contract. What do we expect from the RIR system? And first, who are we? There's the operational community, but there's civil all the way through the users, civil society, the governments, and we're responsible, as Mona is underlying her talk, is future generations. We have responsibility. I mean, I have grandchildren, okay? So some of the contrasts are the policies and standards complex results of trying to please everybody, or are they simple statements of what we must have? Russ Housley addressed the ITU, and he said, instead of the standards being trying to figure out the minimum we must have to accomplish the goals, they keep adding things until nobody has anything they wanted that isn't in there. And if you ever read a ITU standard or a telco standard, you will understand it's that thick, and they charge you for it. Okay? We want to compare cooperative and constructive stewards of the internet and the people who are out for their own good. Okay? And be aware of those who use words to clarify and those who use them to manipulate. Okay? The internet has become critical infrastructure. Our society depends upon it, as Mona has pointed out. But hospitals, governments, so the government and civil society are going to play a larger role. Whether you think they should or shouldn't, get over it. It's because what we're doing is critical to how the world operates now. In the early 90s, I saw a bus, and on the side of the bus, it said blah, blah, blah.com. And I said, oh my God, they found us. Well, they're finding us now, but they are not the enemy. And we don't want to say there's something outside. The government is an external entity with whom we have to negotiate. It's the government and the lawyers are social engineers. They construct our social agreements and how we get along in this world. So we are part of the social context, and the social engineers are our friends. So back at RIPE, the people working on that RIR policy document, ICTP2, is the Address Supporting Organization, blah, blah, blah. And I actually nominated and helped get put a German government interior ministry person on that because she'd been attending RIPE for years, was one of us, but was a government person, and can help bridge the gap. Okay, and if you're more interested in how the government is going to be interfacing, John Curran gave an excellent NANOG talk 6 months ago on internet governance and the landscape of the government coming. So what are the attributes that I expect or what I want between myself as an internet operator and the RIRs? Okay, and you don't have to memorize this because I'm going to wander through them one by one. Fairness is in membership and decision making. Some interesting to contrast here, and I'm going to point out negative things in the sense that it shows us what we can go fix and what we can change and what progress we can make. Okay, RIPE's pretty good, but if you go for fairness and openness, if you go to ARIN, the North American registry, it was some years back, 17% of the address holders were members and could vote. It's now up to 40%. That means less than half of the address holders are actually represented in the address holding organization's voting structure. AP-NIC, until recently, was owned by one man legally. And of course it was a man, not a woman. That has been fixed, thank you very much, AP-NIC. Okay. RIPE isn't perfect. I don't want to hold it up as a perfect example. Some of the weaknesses that need to be fixed, as the working group chairs think they're appointed for life, right? Term limits are really needed. The IP address policy co-chair is an IP broker. If you want an example of conflict of interest, there you've got it. How new chairs get positioned are often friends of the old chairs. And yet we talk about how to open up the process and bring in new people, but we put roadblocks. Okay? What's the relationship to the members? Okay? Look, there's a disease that the RIRs, some RIRs feel that the members are actually threatening. A great example is ARIN, who, well, let me finish this slide. They build administrative mechanisms to protect the RIR from membership demands, and the memberships could go wild and elect crazy people to the board of directors. RIPE, as I said, the members and the registry itself is much more fluid. Okay, and of course the families will have tensions. In ARIN, for instance, elections are horribly biased. There's a nomination committee which is a gatekeeper. They used to actually reject volunteers. Okay, somebody asked me to, I was on the ARIN founding board. Part of this is my fault. But they asked me to run again for board 10 years later. The nomination committee would not allow me to run for the board. And now they still label the candidates they don't like. The nomination committee can say, we don't recommend that candidate, they're not qualified. Right? I don't think we like that kind of thing. We want transparency, of course, finances, but policies, internal and external, open to the membership and discussion. All decision-making, open and visible and transparent, please. Okay? There's also the problem of civility. We, as an operations and engineering community, are notorious for being rude and very hard on people who are trying to enter. And there are social academics who have written papers and one PhD thesis on the social misbehavior of, for instance, the IETF, right? You don't want a sociologist getting their PhD thesis on how rude you are, okay? So having a code of conduct is becoming more accepted and modern. I'm actually on the RIPE Code of Conduct Committee. I guess they wanted to use it to force me to be more civil. So, diversity, of course, but not just gender and religion and so on and so forth, but also diversity of goals and opinions, right? We are all not the same. We don't all worship the same gods, but we also don't all have the same workday constraints and goals, and we have to understand that that differs. Like, who the heck understands those DNS people and what the heck they want? And I'm a BGP person, you know? So, but we have to learn how to disagree and discuss it constructively. And part of that's representative that we want the full spectrum of operators, and also, as I said, who is we? We is civil society too. So the universities are part of it, the government's part of it, the users are part of it, etc. So we also, of the RIRs, we expect technical competence. The RIRs, as the NIC, the Network Information Center, is a bookkeeping service. And certainly they should know how to do bookkeeping. But RIR interoperability is becoming more important. And as having been an operator with global reach, having to deal differently with each of the RIRs, I have to have staff who know how to deal with RIPE forms in their bureaucracy, AP-NIC bureaucracy, ARIN bureaucracy, LACNIC bureaucracy. It gets crazy, okay? And what's really embarrassing is RIPE has an entire set of staff who does nothing but teach courses in how to use the RIPE bureaucracy to get your work done. If I was a commercial entity and I had to give courses in how to use my product, I would be out of business in 15 minutes, right? So we need to streamline and simplify in how easy it is to use the registries. The governance should be representative of the community on boards, committees, et cetera, et cetera. One's pretty obvious. Another level is we have social responsibility. Ethics, but I just don't mean that, you know, I pay my dues to the registry on time. I mean that how I treat my users and customers, right? And how I treat my competitors and my peers. And what's interesting as an operator is my competitors are my peers, but on a day-to-day basis, they're not my competitors. The people who wear better clothes than I do compete with each other. I'm the peer of my fellow operators in what are business competitors, because otherwise the packets don't move. Okay? I want honest justice in how these things work. And some people have known me for a while, know I have a long rant about techno-colonialism. And as I walk around here this week, I see, we're used to, for instance, here in Asia, or most especially in the southern regions, Africa and Latin America, et cetera, Western telcos who buy the local telcos, and where does the money go is back to Europe and the United States, right? We have the same thing happening today with exchange points, which are supposed to be for local benefit, and instead we see them are now being major commercial entities and colonial ones from the West. But down at the bottom, we have the address brokers. And I don't understand what they're doing here. If I want to sell my car to Ole, he gives me money, I give him a piece of paper, he takes it to the local office, and it's done. I don't need, and he doesn't need, some entire financial infrastructure taking money off the top. Okay? So I think we need to think about that level of our social function as an operational community. Okay? And who are the stakeholders? That it's critical to think of them as we are the stewards of the internet and we're cooperating. And I want to contrast this to especially the early days of ICANN, where it was started by a lawyer there are two kinds of lawyers. There are the lawyers who are problem solvers and the lawyers who are arguers. And when you have one need, you need one flavor of lawyers. But unfortunately, ICANN was formed by an arguer. And so it was competitive constituencies, the GAC, the public one, so on and so forth. We can't afford that in the operational community, right? We have to move packets. The packets want to get to the destination. So the stakeholders have to be stewards and cooperating. We have capture resistance problems. The notorious one is Afrinic, a total mess. We're still cleaning up. As I said, APNIC for a while was captive, but it isn't anymore. Aaron had serious problems of capture. For a while, if you weren't a Canadian, you couldn't get on the board. It was just really weird. Okay, so we have to think about how the registry remains open to all the constituencies. We need external review, and I don't mean an annual survey. I hate surveys, but they give some useful results, but not much. I think we need to continually be looking at ourselves and how we're conducting our social contract and our business contracts with the registries and our other supporting organizations. Of course, nonprofit, financially transparent, et cetera, et cetera. Prudent and not fancy. The registries, for historical reasons, are what I'll call a geopoly. There's Asia Pacific, there's Europe, et cetera, and that's very simple. If I'm selling a car here in Thailand, I don't want to go to Phnom Penh to register it, right? So there's reasons for it being a geopoly. But since they are geopolies, they don't really need fancy marketing. We are captive customers, right? So save my money. Okay. The RIR system has worked really well for decades. And we should be proud of ourselves and each other and very thankful to the RIRs. The only times we've gotten in trouble is where greed and corruption conspired. Then the obvious case, of course, is Afrinic. And that's sad, and it's being cleaned up. So I'm sure other people here have more ideas. Please beat me up. I'm not really interested in what we say is reinventing the wheel, et cetera, but we really need to have if we're moving ahead with things like deciding how registries are created, destroyed, et cetera, we need to understand what our contract and what our expectations are as input to that process. Okay? So who do you call? Ourselves, of course. The RIRs have various forums we can use. The ASO, as I said, is likely to be drafting the new ICTP2, and civil society and your governments. And I'm very serious about starting to work with the government. Are any people here actually from governments? There's one, too few. Bring your brothers and sisters, please. We need your help, right? We are part of society, and we need to act responsibly with society, and we're engineers. We didn't choose engineering because we were very good socially. In fact, we're known for being very bad socially. So we need the social engineers' help, please. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Randy, for this very unique perspective on the social contract. This somehow brings me back to my economics class in university. May I invite Mona to join us on the stage again? And please remind you all that if you have questions for our speakers, please feel free to talk to them during the break. And may I now invite Kanchana Sud, an Internet Hall of Fame inductee, 2013 from Thailand, to present Apricot Tokens of Appreciation to our keynote speakers.
Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Vint Cerf, who could not be here with us, but he sent a very inspiring message for us to think about being responsible for our internet. I mean, the internet has now become part of our day-to-day life, and it has created a lot of problems for our society at large. So it's time to think about how to live peacefully, putting everything back in order, no more fake news and misinformation. So thank you. And I hope that next year, Vint can be with us. Thank you.
I would also like to take this opportunity to express our sincere gratitude to our sponsors. Sponsors, please. Sponsors. Yeah, just a moment. Who without them could not make this event happen. And so helping to make this event possible are the Thai Network Information Center Foundation, THNIC, and also the Asia Pacific Network Information Center, APNIC, I would also like to thank VeriSign, who is our diamond sponsor. I would also like to thank Flex Optics, Netflix, and many, many more who I unfortunately don't have time to mention. But just because we didn't mention you does not mean we've forgotten you. As a matter of fact, we love you so much, we already want you to sponsor us again next time. Wouldn't that be nice? So now I would like to invite Philip to the stage to present a token of appreciation to Pensy Arun Watana Mongkon. Our sincere gratitude goes to the TH Foundation and the entire .th team for their invaluable contribution as local hosts of Apricot 2024. Their dedication and support have been instrumental in making this event a resounding success. I would now like to conclude the opening plenary by once again thanking all of you for joining us and by thanking our keynote speakers. Please be reminded our session will resume at 4:30 p.m. and that later in the evening, the opening social will be held at the Grand Hall here at the Atini Hotel. The Apricot opening social commences formally at 7 p.m. with pre-cocktail drinks already served for early arrival starting at 6:30 p.m. And the night's entertainment will kick off with a performance by Joe Louis, a traditional Thai puppet show that will showcase the art of classical puppetry. This would then be followed by a performance by both Thai and international musical instruments by the Contemporary String Chamber Band from the reputable Music College of Thailand, Mahidol University. Now, we also have side activities which include a Thai art cooking demonstration of a fruit-shaped mung beans dessert, also known as Khanom Luk Chup, a famous Thai dessert with colorful and nice visuals. It's fruit-shaped, coated with a thin layer of jelly. Very nice. Another enjoyable activity is batik keychain gulao pattern making. Now, please do keep in mind that as space is limited, please inform our demonstrator if you want to learn how to do it yourself. And dinner will be included, and the social event will conclude at 9 p.m. Thank you very much for joining us, and may you all have a very lovely evening. สวัสดีครับ And now invite us for photo opportunities, please. All good? Thank you very much.